The storm over the Atacama dig site had no right to exist. It was supposed to be the driest place on Earth, yet a black spiral twisted over the tents, flickering with electric veins that crawled through the clouds like a heartbeat gone wrong. Dr. Elara Myles stood at the edge of the excavation trench, her eyes fixed on the object half buried in the salt crust, a curve of something smooth, dark, and wrong. It pulsed faintly under her flashlight, like it was breathing. "That's not rock," she whispered. The interns had stopped working hours ago. Even the local workers refused to stay after sunset. They said the ground whispered. Elara didn't believe in whispers. She believed in carbon dating, isotopes, and the truth that bones didn't glow in ultraviolet light. But this one did. The trench's base shimmered faintly, bending the air around the fossil's outline, warping it as if the desert itself was uncertain where this thing belonged. "Dr. Myles," called Rafi, her lead technician, voice shaky. You need to see this." He was pointing at the scanner feed, the LiDAR reconstruction of the fossil's internal density. The image on his tablet wasn't organic. The structure looked like metallic filigree fused with bone. Rings of intricate micropatterns spiraled inward, forming shapes that looked almost mathematical. Too deliberate. Too engineered. "That's impossible," Elara muttered, taking the tablet. "No biological structure can—" She stopped. At the center of the scan was a cavity, hollow and perfectly spherical, with traces of radiation signature. Chronotonic resonance. The kind of temporal radiation only theoretical physicists talked about in equations. "Are we picking up interference?" she asked. Rafi shook his head. "No, the readings are clean." But his voice faltered. "It's giving us a timestamp, Doctor." "A timestamp?" He swallowed. "From the future. Year 7031. The silence that followed was suffocating. The storm above them froze. No wind, no sound. For a moment, even the static of the equipment died, as if time itself had taken a breath. Then the world resumed. Elara turned toward the fossil. "Seal the trench, now!" But it was too late. The ground under her boots vibrated with a low hum, subsonic, alive. The fossil emitted a faint, rhythmic pulse, and her wristwatch stopped ticking. Every compass needle around the site spun wildly, and the digital clocks on the monitors scrambled into gibberish. "Everyone out!" she shouted, grabbing Rafi by the arm. They sprinted toward the tents as the hum deepened into a roar. A wave of heat rolled over the desert, distorting the air. Sand rose in spiraling patterns, forming circles around the excavation pit like invisible ripples in water. Elara turned once and saw it. The fossil's surface cracked open, revealing a lattice of blue veins underneath. They weren't glowing. They were moving, flowing like liquid circuitry. And then came the flash. A shock wave of light burst outward, swallowing the entire dig site. For a second, Elara saw everything, tents dissolving into ash, the sand itself rippling like a sea under starlight, and shadows moving inside the light, humanoid shapes stretching, collapsing, reversing in time. The next second, it was gone. She was lying in the sand, half buried, ears ringing, the night eerily calm again. The fossil was still there, perfectly intact. The trench was untouched, but her entire team was gone. She stumbled to her feet, disoriented. The camp was silent, no radio chatter, no lights. Only a faint smell of ozone and something metallic in the air. She grabbed her comm. "Rafi? Anyone?" Static. Then a voice, but not Rafi's. "Elara Myles," it said, a distorted whisper that seemed to come from everywhere. "You shouldn't have dug here." She froze. The comm was off. The fossil pulsed once more, a slow heartbeat, and then she realized the stars above her weren't where they should be. The constellations were wrong. Orion was shattered. The North Star was missing. The desert horizon had shifted. She was still on Earth, but not her Earth. Her first instinct was denial. She ran to the edge of camp, her boots crunching salt and bone-dry sand. But when she reached the perimeter marker, she saw it. The skeleton of a truck, half buried in salt, rusted beyond recognition. Its license plate said 2089. She blinked. Her truck was from 2045. "Elara," said the voice again, echoing from nowhere and everywhere. "You are standing where time collapsed." She turned back toward the fossil, breathing hard. The air shimmered above it like a heat mirage. Shadows flickered in that distortion, figures walking backward, moments repeating. She saw herself, for a split second, standing where she had been 5 minutes ago. And then, gone. Her mind raced through theories. Quantum tunneling? Temporal displacement? No. This was beyond physics. This was rewriting physics. She stumbled into her tent, searching for the satellite comms unit. The screen flickered to life for just long enough to show one message. Archive entry. Fossil 9X. Retrieved 3.2.7031. Location Atacama, Earth. Pre-collapse era. Her stomach dropped. The fossil had been cataloged in the future. She turned back toward the trench, heart pounding. It wasn't a fossil of the past. It was a fossil of tomorrow, something from a future humanity, or something that had replaced humanity, buried backward through time. "Elara Myles," the voice said again, more distinct now, almost human. "You unearthed the evidence of extinction." The wind picked up. She looked toward the fossil and saw it rising, not by movement, but by time reversing. The sand around it unfell, dust flowing upward. The fossil reassembled itself into something taller, humanoid in outline. The air warped violently, and the trench lights exploded in showers of sparks. She ran, but every step echoed twice, one real, one delayed, like she was out of sync with herself. Her shadow lagged half a second behind her. The desert blurred. The sky shimmered between two versions, stars in one moment, burning auroras in the next. Then everything froze. The fossil's shape loomed behind her now, fully emerged, standing like a being carved from living stone and circuitry. Its face was featureless, its form incomplete. It tilted its head, and the same whisper filled the air directly beside her ear. "You are looking at what your kind becomes." Her breath hitched. What are you?" "We are the record, the memory of the last species who named themselves human." Her hands trembled. "You're from the future?" "From the end." The thing's outline flickered, half vanishing, half there, like a broken projection. "You unearthed what should have stayed buried. Now time folds back to correct the paradox." "What do you mean, correct?" But she didn't need the answer. The ground cracked beneath her, glowing blue. The fossil's hum turned into a deafening resonance. She looked at her wristwatch. It was ticking backward. The horizon trembled, splitting open like glass. She saw flashes, cities floating above oceans of fire, humans turning to light, and alien shapes rising from the ruins, a timeline folding into itself. And then she saw her own face, fossilized, half buried in stone, eyes open. She screamed, and time collapsed. Elara woke to silence, the kind that didn't belong to the living world. The desert was gone. In its place stretched a plain of glass and ash under a violet sky, the horizon broken by twisted silhouettes of half-sunken towers. Her lungs burned as if the air was too thin, too old. Every breath tasted like static. The fossil,
No, the entity stood 50 meters away, its surface now smooth, no longer stone or metal, but something that shimmered like liquid memory. She pushed herself up, blood crusted on her forehead. "Rafi!" she called. No answer, only the echo of her own voice, repeating half a second late. She turned. Behind her, footprints led backward, literally, the sand reforming where she stepped, time undoing her presence.
"Elara Myles," said the voice again, calmer now, almost human. "You are displaced." She spun toward it. "What did you do to me? Where's my team?"
They were returned to their proper coordinates. You were not.
"Proper coordinates?" she snapped. "You mean time?" The air shimmered, and a figure appeared. A human shape formed of drifting light fragments, like someone trying to exist between two realities. It flickered in and out, each reappearance slightly out of sync with her heartbeat.
"I am what remains," it said. "A consciousness recorded in the fossil's lattice. My name once was Dr. Halen Voss." Ilara's eyes widened.
"You're human?"
"Was," he corrected. "We built the resonant archive to preserve ourselves, to survive the collapse."
She took a step forward, the glass crunching under her boots. "The collapse of what?"
"The collapse of time."
The words landed like a punch.
Halen's form brightened. "In your century, the research began. Small experiments in temporal echo mapping. You discovered that time isn't a line, but a field. We turned that field into a machine. We sent messages backward, hoping to change the path. Instead, we fractured it."
Elara's stomach twisted. "You're telling me this fossil is one of your machines?"
He nodded slowly. "A seed, a warning, buried in the past before the fall."
She shook her head, refusing to accept it. "No, that's impossible. You're saying this is from the future, buried backward through time?"
"The archive folds causality. When the end came, it tore a hole backward. Every moment collapsed into every other. We became our own fossil record."
Elara staggered back. The sky above shimmered again, a ripple spreading outward like the skin of a dying star. The horizon glitched, skipping between night and day in pulses. She looked toward a tower in the distance. It was both ruined and whole at once. She realized then that the world around her wasn't the future or the past. It was all of them overlapping. Time had lost sequence.
"Elara," Halen said softly, "you're standing in the fracture zone, the intersection of timelines. Your discovery triggered the final loop."
Her hands trembled. "If I caused this? If my excavation started it, how do I stop it?"
"You can't." His voice cracked with something like sorrow. "We tried 1,000 times. Every cycle begins and ends with the same moment, the moment you unearth the fossil. You are the fixed point."
A cold chill raced through her veins. "You're saying I'm meant to do this?"
"Yes, because only you can choose differently."
She frowned. "Choose what?"
But before he could answer, the ground screamed. A wave of distortion ripped across the landscape, shattering the glass plane like ice. From the cracks rose black monoliths, twisted pillars that bled light. Each one pulsed with the same rhythm as the fossil's heart.
"What's happening?"
she shouted. "The correction," Halen said, his form glitching violently. "The timeline is trying to stabilize itself. It will erase contradictions, starting with you." The pillars began to hum, emitting arcs of blue lightning that scorched the air. Elara turned and ran, her body aching, lungs burning. The landscape twisted around her, the sky folding inward, horizons flipping like mirrored film. She saw glimpses of other times flashing past her, the dig site intact, roughly laughing, then a scorched desert under alien suns, then her own skeleton buried beneath salt.
She fell to her knees, screaming. "Stop it!" Halen appeared beside her,
kneeling, his flickering hand reaching toward her. "Elara, listen to me. There is a failsafe hidden inside the fossil. It's a chronometric core. If you destroy it, the loop will collapse." She blinked through tears. "Destroy it, won't that?" "Yes," he said. "It will erase the archive, us, the entire record, but it might give the universe a clean slate." Her heart pounded. "And me?" "You'll cease before you began." The world around them convulsed again. Lightning tore open the sky, revealing something vast, a silhouette of a city suspended in clouds, burning, turning to glass. Elara steadied herself. "Tell me where it is." Halen hesitated. "Inside the fossil's core. But it will fight you. The archive defends itself, then I'll fight back." She sprinted toward the fossil, the ground fracturing behind her. Time itself bent under her feet. She saw herself running ahead and behind at once. For a moment she passed through her own afterimage, and it felt like being torn apart by echoes. The fossil towered above her now, its structure fully awakened, rotating layers of translucent geometry orbiting a dark nucleus. It wasn't just a fossil, it was a machine, a living archive of all that ever was and ever would be. "Elara Myles," the voice thundered, no longer calm but commanding. "Do not interfere." She ignored it, climbing onto the fossil's surface as magnetic waves rippled beneath her hands. The patterns on its shell shifted, revealing symbols, coordinates, equations, and fragments of human DNA sequences. Her own name appeared between them. "You were chosen. You are the loop's origin." She reached the center, a circular indentation glowing with blue fire. Inside, suspended in energy, was the core, a sphere of compressed light spinning backward through time. Halen's voice echoed faintly. "Now, Elara, destroy it before it stabilizes." She hesitated, just for a second. What if he was wrong? What if destroying it erased not just them, but everything? The fossil seemed to sense her doubt. Its hum softened. A memory unfolded in her mind. Her mother's voice, the smell of rain, the first time she looked at the stars. It was showing her her life, her entire timeline. "Do you understand now?" the voice said, gentler. "You are part of the archive. You are our continuation." Her tears fell onto the fossil's surface, sizzling like acid. "I won't be your fossil." And then she drove her fist into the core. The world exploded. Light and time inverted, sky and ground trading places, past bleeding into future. Every moment in history flashed at once. Birth, extinction, war, love, the final silence. She saw the faces of her team, Rafi shouting her name, Halen fading with a look of relief. The core shattered. The fossil screamed, and everything went white. When the light cleared, she was floating, weightless, in darkness, no ground, no stars, just a faint echo of her own breath. A figure materialized in front of her. Halen again, faint and fading. "You did it. The loop is broken." "Then why am I still here?" she whispered. "Because something must remain to tell the story." His form dissolved into starlight. "Goodbye, Dr. Myles." She reached out, but her hand passed through him. The darkness folded inward, a final heartbeat of existence. And then silence. When Elara opened her eyes, she expected nothing. No world, no light, just the void she'd fallen into. Instead, she found herself standing in a place that felt like the inside of memory. The sky wasn't black or blue, but something in between, like frozen starlight suspended in glass. The ground shimmered beneath her boots, not sand, not stone, but layers of reflection. Every step rippled with faint echoes of moments. Her team laughing, Rafi's voice, her own laughter on nights she'd forgotten. She realized the truth slowly, like a cut she didn't feel until it bled. The world around her wasn't real. It was a reconstruction, fragments of existence held together by the fossil's final pulse. She was inside the echo of time itself. "Elara Myles," the voice returned.
softer now, distant as wind. You survived the fold. She looked up. The fossil floated above her, now cracked open like a chrysalis. Its inner glow faded with each breath she took. She could see through it, glimpses of universes overlapping, waves of stars forming and dying in silence. "Where am I?" she asked, quietly. "In the residue of what was," it replied. The loop ended, but the archive endured, restructured, stripped of control. You broke the pattern, but not the record. Elara's throat tightened. "So this is what's left of time?" "Not time, but memory." She knelt, touching the ground. The reflections beneath her shifted, showing faces, places, things long gone. Earth's oceans, cities burning, children laughing under alien skies. Each image lasted a heartbeat before dissolving. "How much survived?" she whispered. "Enough to remember that it once existed," it said. She felt a deep ache, not fear, not even sorrow, but the hollow weight of understanding. Humanity hadn't been erased. It had become its own monument. Every thought, every heartbeat, encoded inside this shimmering space like fossils of consciousness. She looked up at the dying fossil. "You said the archive defended itself. Is that what this is? Its defense?" "No," it said. "Its legacy. You freed it from recursion, and it rewrote its purpose." Elara stood slowly. "Then what purpose remains?" It said, "To witness, to ensure that something remembers." She laughed bitterly. "So I'm what, the last historian?" Silence answered, but not an empty silence, the kind that listens. A ripple passed through the space. She turned and saw a silhouette forming nearby, tall, faintly human, composed of shifting light. For a heartbeat, she thought it was Halen again, but it wasn't. The figure's face was hers. Her double gazed at her with eyes full of starlight. "The archive needs a voice," it said. Her own voice, but distant, detached. Elara backed away. "No, I broke the loop. I won't become another fossil." "You already are," said her reflection gently. "The moment you shattered the core, your timeline ceased. You exist now only because the archive is holding your pattern." She clenched her fists. "Then let me go. Let me end."
The reflection smiled, not with cruelty, but pity. "If you end, memory ends with you." She looked around, at the flickering visions, the echoes of worlds, the whispers of all who had ever lived. Each one shimmered, waiting, fading. If she left, they would vanish, forgotten. The thought hollowed her. "I didn't ask to be a goddamn monument," she said, voice trembling. "No one ever does," said her echo. "But someone must stay to remember what was lost." Elara looked toward the horizon, or what passed for one here. It pulsed faintly, the rhythm of a dying heartbeat. Stars flickered out in waves, one by one. She realized then that the archive wasn't eternal. Even memory decays. "How long before it fades?" she asked. The reflection hesitated. "Time no longer measures here, but entropy still whispers. When the last light fades, all will rest." She sighed, a sound that echoed across eternity. "Then I'll stay," she said finally, "but not as a fossil, as a witness." The reflection nodded. "Then you are the archive now." The figure stepped forward, merging with her. For a moment, Elara saw every timeline, the Earth before and after, the stars being born and collapsing into darkness. She felt everything humanity had ever been, the warmth of sun on skin, the fear of extinction, the beauty of discovery. And then it was quiet. When she opened her eyes again, she was no longer human. Her form shimmered like translucent glass, filled with threads of light. Her heartbeat synced with the rhythm of the stars, the last stars. She looked out into the void and spoke, her voice carrying across the dying universe. "We were here." The words rippled through the emptiness, like sound through water.
Each ripple ignited a new star, faint, brief, but real. Memory transformed into light. For endless moments, Elara walked through the quiet cosmos, watching the stars she'd created. They weren't suns, they were stories, fragments of a species that had dreamed of eternity and almost achieved it. Each one whispered a name, a hope, a failure, a love. She smiled faintly. The fossil was gone now, dissolved into her being. She was the fossil, a living monument stretched across the skin of existence, neither alive nor dead, but remembering, and for the first time since the dig site, she felt peace. As the last echoes of reality began to fade, she whispered one final thought into the dark. Not a prayer, not a goodbye, but a truth. Nothing truly dies if something remembers. Light flickered once more, blooming outward like dawn across infinity, and for an instant, just before the void reclaimed all things, Elara saw the faint outline of Earth, whole, blue, alive. She smiled, and then she was gone.